cell phone charger back there if you need one.
Oh, sweet. Thank you.
Yeah, very well. Going out to do something fun now that's warming up?
Kinda. It's more like a networking thing.
Okay.
So kind of work related.
Work related, okay. On a Saturday, hopefully they're paying you for it. What type of work do you do?
I'm sort of in transition a little bit.
Okay.
I've spent a good amount of time working in theater.
Okay.
And as a producer.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm sort of like working into transitioning more like digital content, digital media, filmmaking.
Okay.
So I'm going to some like filmmaking, like mini summit gathering type of thing, and just kind of like, do some networking, learn some more about that particular industry, because so much of my expertise is in live performing arts. Yeah.
Well, that sounds fun. It seems like a lot. I mean, obviously the digital trends are big right now. Everybody's doing, right? They're getting the social media, TikTok and YouTube and all that stuff is getting popular. So I guess people are transitioning. I like theater though. But you're not as many people are leaving their house to go to stuff.
Right.
It seems like. What kind of prompted you to make that switch for yourself?
I mean, the lockdown.
Okay.
I was working full-time for a theater. I had just moved out of New York City to New Haven, Connecticut.
Okay.
In November 2019, and started working full-time at a theater company.
Okay.
And then the lockdown happened, and I was the executive assistant at the time.
Uh-huh.
And we went through staff cuts and everything, and luckily I was able to keep my job because of my particular position to support the executives during all of the craziness.
Sure.
And then they needed more support artistically, so then they added line producer to my title.
Oh, okay.
And then it was like, okay, now we got to figure out how to like make digital content. So that's kind of how that got prompted. And I was also at the time working as a producing assistant or an associate producer with another like theater related organization, and we were already through that. I had been gifted a podcast to host and produce.
Okay.
And so I was already doing that, and then when the lockdown happened, it actually became easier to make since we could just interview people digitally.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that kind of was already like on my radar as far as like, okay, how do I figure out how to make this a thing?
Sure.
Yeah, and then figuring out how to like produce theatrical stuff online was an adventure, but I was stuck at home like everyone else and watching a ton of movies and TV, and I was like, I'm watching some stuff that was like really impactful to me, that also was really theatrical in the way it was made.
Sure.
And so I was like, there's a way for these things to live together, and I don't know, it just kind of made me reevaluate a lot of stuff, and as far as like, am I where I want to be in my career? Where's like what's the path forward if I stay in this lane?
Sure.
That sort of thing. And then I just kind of started to reevaluate everything, and then I started considering grad school.
Sure. Okay.
Which brought me out this way. I ended up getting accepted into a program at Northwestern. It was 1 year full time, so I graduated last August and decided to stay here, and now I'm sort of in the space of starting my own company.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so the company you're going to start is going to be doing live stuff. Are you still doing the podcast as well?
Not that podcast anymore. I have my own podcast now, and it's sort of like has laid the foundation for the company, because very specifically, it'll be a production company, sort of like the 5-10 year down the line. I want us to be doing everything live and performing arts, digital media, visual art, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's sort of driven by the purpose of centering the narratives of queer and trans people of color.
Great. Okay.
Since those are communities that I'm a part of, and I love what I do, and I love being able to work with those kinds of artists. So
yeah, you have a great part of Chicago for finding people that are queer, and it's a great theater city.
Yeah.
A ton of stuff too. I'm a comedian, so like
Oh, nice. before, so that was through the company I worked with, and it was specifically about highlighting Latinx artists. Yeah.
I'm Mexicano 100%.
Oh, nice. Yeah, me too. I'm from Southern California originally.
I'm from Northern California originally.
Oh, what part?
I grew up in wine country, but this cell phone is a 323 number. I'll never.
Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, I saw that on your profile, Sonoma County. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I grew up, born and raised out there.
Amazing. I grew up in Southern California. I actually lived in San Francisco for a year after I graduated undergrad. I'd gotten a fellowship at the theater there.
Oh, absolutely.
And I love the Bay Area. I think it's the most perfect place in the world.
Sure. I grew up out there, so I like it really hot. I'm like an LA person. That's like, LA was home to me. So as soon as I got there, I'm like, oh, it's 85 all year round. Yes, please, I'll take it. Like even now in Chicago, like I try not to go outside if it's below 60. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People like you're in the wrong state. I know.
That's the thing, though. It's like when I was like, am I gonna move back to like New York after school, or should I go to LA? I don't know. I was like, no. There's like such a vibrant community here, and there's so much happening, and so much culture, and it's more affordable.
Yes.
So it's like, why not stay put and just kind of like, as I'm getting things up and running, and if the work ends up taking me to these other places,
Exactly.
why not eventually? But for right now, it just feels like this is where I'm supposed to be. And having grown up on the West Coast and spending 5 years on the East Coast,
Right.
I'm like, Chicago feels like the best of both worlds. I get a little bit of everything all at once.
Yeah, it's only a couple hours flight to either one.
Exactly.
Same thing, but you can get everywhere in the U.S. from here, and it's super easy. And again, it's a big city. It's the third biggest city. Obviously, New York and LA are the bigger ones.
Yeah.
But there's so much people. There's so much going on, and now obviously, after Memorial Day, Chicago just comes to life.
Oh yeah.
There's so much stuff going on. Obviously, we have Pride this weekend, which is like I'm already talking to tons of people, which is really great. Which, like, in similar vein to you, I have a show where I interview people while I drive around, so getting in cars with strangers.
Yes.
I blurred
I
this.
noticed. I saw the.
People that work in media always go, "What's this?" What's going on right here? They always know. But I blur this out. You don't know who it is, and I'm just like, "Tell me about you. Like, who are you? What's your deal?" I already got 120 episodes online.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And that's it. And it's like, and this is when I love it. I'm just like, this is the city. This is what's right. Because I have a 9 to 5. I work in tech. Like, I can, like, I make okay money, but this is what I love to do. Like, I talk to people. This is how I see people, and I enjoy it because you get perspective. People have stories and all that stuff, which is something I just really enjoy.
Yeah.
But it's great. So you're starting the company. You're focusing on the Latino community as far as like your production as well.
Well, I mean, that was the focus of the company I worked with before, where I like produced the podcast on their behalf.
Okay.
But now, like the podcast I have now, it's called Mix It Up, and it's spelled MX.
Okay.
And it's meant, and so I interview queer and trans artists of color about their lives, their inspirations, the work that they do, what they kind of like hope to see in the future of storytelling overall.
Sure.
So it's not just folks. I mean, most of my connections exist in the world of theater, but a lot of those folks also like work outside of theater and film, television, and just other spaces and places. So I've already put out 2 seasons of it, 20 episodes.
Oh, nice. That's great. I'm totally going to check it out. It's absolutely
Thank you. All of my own. I think too, I just got to a place, once I had decided I was going to go to school, I was like, I'm ready to kind of really just like work for myself. And sort of in terms of like, paying the bills and the rent and everything, like I got into consulting right after school. I have a number of colleagues that do consulting for arts organizations, and it seems like a lot of arts organizations are seeking consultation nowadays. So that kind of keeps me, busy here and there. But it's not a traditional 9 to 5, which is really great.
Yeah. Working around your schedule. That's great.
Exactly. So, yeah, I'm just trying to like really. I've only been in tech. Well, I had moved to Evanston first for school.
Okay.
But I had moved into Chicago almost exactly a year ago now, on July 1st last year. So I feel like I'm really just now starting to settle in, and kind of like now have the space to, go to things like what I'm going to today, and get more connected with folks in the community, and just kind of like let people know that I'm here and that I'm available to collaborate with. And and just kind of, hopefully see more of what I hope to see in terms of media and culture.
No, and that's exactly it. You just get your face out there, start meeting people, and you build your crew, you build your group, you build your community of people that do the things that you like to do and want to work with. And then you present that, and that's it. And then, eventually you build the audience, right? The audience comes, they find you, and then you find yourself, who knows where life takes you from there. But it's you're doing it. You just get your face out there and network and hobnob and meet people. So I totally get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I love that. And yeah, I live right by you. I'm like, you know where Granville stop is?
Yeah.
I'm like a block from there. So it's like, like 3 or 4 blocks from you. So like, I love Edgewater, and I was like, you picked the best neighborhood in my opinion.
Well,
really is.
I was just coming from a friend's place, but I don't live that much further down. But I'm technically in Uptown.
I get you. Oh yeah, Uptown's
So
also.
it's great. Yeah, I'm happy with where I landed, and I just renewed my lease. But I think come next year, because I live in the studio now, and eventually I just want more space and whatnot. So come next year, I'll be ready to look for at least a 1-bedroom.
Give yourself a little bit of room. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I don't know if you saw right where the street right before I picked you up, it's Hollywood Boulevard.
Yeah.
And that's why, that's one of the reasons why I love this, because again, LA's home to me. So I was like, oh, I'm in the Malibu of Chicago.
Yeah.
This is close as I'm gonna get until later. But that's it, because I love it. I miss the beach, I miss the coast and all that. So it's as close as I can get to it until then. It almost looks like an ocean out here, almost.
Yeah. Yeah. I just don't know if I could, at least once a year or so. I'll be on the phone with my mom. I'm just like, so do you think you ever move back to California? And for the last 7 or 8 years or so, I'm like, no. I don't think so. If I did, it would be to San Francisco or maybe San Diego.
Sure.
But
Yeah, San Diego still looks affordable. I'm here because my daughter, her mom, moved here with her after we split up. So I was like, oh, all right, fine. I can do comedy. I can do this from anywhere. So I'll be here. So I've been here 8 years now, and I've got I don't know, 8 more left. But so once that's done, then I'm like, okay, I want to go back to California. I want to go back for somewhere nice. But it's like, hey, I'm here. I can still work on comedy. I can still do stuff. So I'm not too worried about it. It's I'm learning to love it, but I am always cold.
Yeah, it's crazy though. It's apparently, well, I was in Evanston. I moved to Evanston in 2022, and so I've been through 2 winters now. But my friends who've been here longer have been like, yeah, the last 2 have been so mild. And I'm like, sure. I mean, I'm from the desert, so I guess a mild winter for you is pushing me just over the edge a little bit. But it's, for me though, it's so much easier to stay warm than it is to stay cool.
Sure.
So even during the summer, I'm like, oh God, today's a humid day.
Yes.
But it's still, I think, even the worst humidity in Chicago does not at all compare to the humidity in New York City.
Oh,
and it's so, or even the Northeast in general, being along the coastline.
Yeah.
So gross.
Oh no.
It's like you're swimming through the air. It's so.
Because I never experienced the humidity until I moved out here. Because there's no humidity in California.
Yeah.
It's fine. So I came out here and I was like, what is this? I thought the summer would be nice, and then it rains every 3rd day, which is not a thing I'm used to. I was like, what? It never rains in the summer. What's happening?
Yeah, I heard someone say, if you don't like the weather in Chicago, just wait for 20 minutes.
Yeah, just wait 20 minutes. It'll be something else. And that's true. That's true. Turns out. But that's why I always say, I love weather. That's why I like living in a place that skipped all the bad weather. It's only, and that's it. I like summer and I like spring, and that's LA is eternal spring. I can't deal with it. I'll move back as soon as I can. I just gotta get enough money to afford to live in California again.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's gotten so bad. Every time I go back, I'm like, oh wow, the way it just keeps, especially everyone wants to be in LA and yada yada, but it keeps pushing people out further and further out to the areas where my family is, and also because where I grew up, there was so much space. And open land, and every time I go back, it's there's another distribution center, and some corporation has put up,
Where were you at?
Like, we moved around a lot, but like Fontana, Colton.
Okay. Yeah.
My mom lives in Paris, California.
Okay.
So like even a little further out.
Yeah, I used to camp out there.
Yeah,
they have, like,
yeah.
campgrounds and stuff.
Yeah, Lake Paris.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Mhm.
that's like
Yeah.
out like in between San Diego and LA, and you've got like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right out there. It's nice. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right. So they're starting to like hem it and all that, right? So they're starting to
Yeah.
build all that.
What's crazy is like, sure, I guess like Amazon's creating these jobs, but
Right.
the actual like infrastructure cannot support that many people.
Right.
So the freeways out there have not been updated for like decades.
Oh yeah, the public transport is absolutely
Yeah,
trash.
public transport's trash, and
Yeah.
then with the distribution centers comes more semis on the highways, and so traffic is just so bad. I remember like driving when I lived with my mom growing up, driving from Paris to Colton to visit my grandmother's, like 30 minutes tops. It was like a 30-minute drive. Now it could take up like usually around an hour.
Oh wow.
And I go home maybe about like twice a year.
Yeah.
At least I try at least twice a year. And I rent a car every time I go because there's no way I'm not going to
Sure.
in order to get around.
Of course, yeah, you need one. There's no way you can.
Yeah.
There's no way.
But I'm always just like, listen, I mean, I have my license, but I don't own a car out here.
Yeah.
I've never owned my own car, and I'm not afraid of public transit. I love it.
Sure.
And doing my like 1 week trips to California twice a year, I'm like that I'm good for the rest of the year. I don't need to drive any more than that because I can't with the sitting in the traffic and then
for sure.
people.
And honestly, out there, I would be like, what? Like, how is there traffic here? There's supposed to be nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was great chatting. I'm definitely going to check out Mix It Up.
Thank you.
Yeah, I hope this goes well. And hey, if you need a comedian or a funny dad, I'm around. All right?
Sounds good. You too. Thanks, John.